the Rasch model can accommodate this 10 axis. Now, first of all, is response category. We have ordered from Descartes' responses has been extended to polyphemus polyphemus on an ordered category. There's two famous models, category model and rating scale model. And also we can have partial ordered category. It was invented by Wilson, 1992. He calls the model as the partial ordered model, or sometimes called ordered partition model. So it's an example for this response category is that sometimes people solve the question using different strategies, and all these kind of strategies led to the same levels of the accuracy. So we want to model the people using different strategies, but since this they reach the same accuracy, so they actually score at the same category, right? And another example is the multiple choice items. You see, conventionally we analyze multiple choice items with binary categories, either correct or incorrect, right? But sometimes we are interested in the attraction of the distractors. Take five choices. Items as an example, we have A, B, C, D, and E, right? Suppose we have the correct answer is option A. The other four options are incorrect answers. But we want to see the attraction of individual options. And these four options, or sometimes we call it distractors, are at the same level of incorrect, right? So, I developed this model for multiple choice items back to 1998. And in addition to ordered category and multiple or partial ordered category, we can nowadays we can have continuous responses. This is example here, right? Right. Especially in computer screen, people are allowed to draw a line using their mouse, so that make the response become so-called continuous. And then Mueller in 1987 developed a Rasch continuous model based on enriched rating scale model. And they have we have software to analyze this kind of data, continuous Rasch data. Is implemented in R, called PCIRC. Actually, this package can also analyze the other Rasch models. So this is the first X. The second X is facet. As we know that today we talk about many facets model a lot. And previously, Fisher in 1973 developed a linear logistic text model. So the identity difficulty is actually decomposed into several components. But the same idea of facet. And secondly, we have many facet model developed by Lineage in 1989. So the most common example for the facet model is the rater effect, especially in language testing. And we can have even more complicated or more general model called explanatory models. We have in Rasch model we have two types of parameters. One is item parameter, the other is person parameter, and then we can take the item parameter estimate as the criteria, and then we can use other predictors like item feature, word length, etc., to predict the item difficulty. So this is the best idea of the linear logistic text model. On the other hand, we can take the person parameter as the dependent variable, and we can add some independent variable to predict person's ability. So at both sides, we can have covariate. And Wilson and Paul developed this kind of frameworks. They call it explanatory models in 2004. The third X is dimensionality. We often suffer from the limited testing time. Suppose we only have 1 hour testing, but we have so many latent traits we are interested in. So there is the dilemma. Whether we want to measure a very specific attribute latent trait with a high degree of accuracy in this 60 minutes, or we want to sample a vast range of attributes with much less accuracy. Because of the testing time, we only have 60 minutes. So we need to make a decision. So sometimes, often that we actually go to the second option, that is, we want to measure as many latent traits as possible we can, right? So then the consequence will be that each latent trait is only measured by a small set of items. That will cause accuracy problem or measurement error. So in that case, it will be great if the test reliability or measurement error, test reliability can be increased by using more efficient models. What I meant efficient models is that we can consider these latent traits that we are interested in, often are highly or moderately correlated. We should take the correlation into consideration to improve the measurement accuracy with the short length, right? So what should we do? Well, suppose you have, in this figure, we have 3 subtests, or we have three tests. Each test measure a distinct latent trait. So we can, suppose we have win step at hand, then we have 3 tests. We can either, analyze these 3 tests one by one, but in doing so, actually we ignore the correlation among these 3 latent traits. So this is not a very efficient procedure, given that we have a very short length. So more efficient procedures is that we have 3 latent traits, dimension 1, 2, and 3, and each is measured by a few items. And because the dimension 1, 2, 3 are usually correlated, so we can use the multidimensional model to analyze the data jointly. We don't need to analyze the data one test at a time. We can analyze these 3 tests simultaneously in one computer run by taking into the consideration of the correlation among these 3 latent traits to improve our measurement accuracy. This is because the dimensionality comes from the between items, so I call it a multi-dimension between item multi-dimensionality. And the other type is within item multi-dimensionality. Sometimes an item can measure more than 1 latent trait at a time. So in that case, the multi-dimensionality came from within item. So we have software, free software, TAMS, developed by Margaret Wu and her colleagues several years ago. Or we can also use the Conquest. It's a commercial software. If you have money, it's not very expensive, but it's not cheap. So anyway, this is example that we have 13 scale thinking style inventory, and each scale has only 8 7-point rating scale items. but we have 13. So you can imagine that these 13 scales are actually highly correlated. So that we can either use the Wing step or unidimensional model to analyze these 13 scales, one scale at a time, or we can adopt a multidimensional model to analyze these 13 scales simultaneously. So then we can compare the difference between these two approaches. So, based on the similar idea of the multidimensional model, a particular case in multidimensional Rasch model is a bifactor model. This is specifically designed for testlets. The testlet is very common in language testing. After reading a passage or a figure or a table, then you have to answer a few items, right? So we call this kind of test design as a testlet. So we can have a testlet model. That is, well, overall, all the items are designed to measure the latent trait, theta 1. Suppose that is the language proficiency. And these three items belong to the same testlet. The topic of this could be, well, I don't know, perhaps something about sports. And these four items could be another reading passage about fashion design. Okay, so that that means that each item actually measure two latent traits. One is the general latent trait that we are interested in. Here is the language proficiency. The other is the specific ability that is measured by that testlet. For example, sports ability or fashion design ability. That kind of knowledge. All right, there's freeware in R, MIRT in R, or commercial software IRT Pro. That they are very efficient. Traditional multidimensional IRT software is not very efficient for this kind of structure. Like a TAM or Conquest is not very appropriate for this kind of bifactor models. And I would recommend that you use the IRT Pro, which is the commercial software, or you can use the freeware and IRT R. They are very efficient for this kind of model. Number 4, we can have order. If you are familiar with the factor analysis, you may heard that we have a higher order factor analysis, right? Suppose just like a language proficiency often cover for listening, speaking, reading, and writing, or the big 5 personality, we have OCEAN as the 5 domains, or in quality of life, WHO quality of life, we have 6 domains. So that means that we actually, in addition to the specific ability of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, there is a second order latent trait, which can be referred to as language proficiency. In this example, here, the top one, this one, is the language proficiency, and this could be listening, reading, or speaking, and underneath are the items. So each student will receive in this case, 4 scores. One is the general reading, language proficiency, one of the listening ability, speaking ability, and for example, a reading ability, etc. So once you have that kind of structure, then perhaps you can pursue this kind of higher order models, higher order Rasch model. Then we can have software like Winbox and JAX. You can do that. And number 5, level. In PISA, as we all know that in PISA survey, we first of all, we surveyed a set of schools, like 150 schools, and within each school, we surveyed a few students, for example, 40 students. So this kind of multi-stage sampling creates a very unique problems that we need to face. That is, the data have different labels. Like here, the first stage we select, we sample a few schools, and then underneath each school we select a set of students. And usually the student came from the same school, share a lot of homogeneity. They are more similar than students. They are sampled from different schools, especially regarding some abilities like mathematics ability, language proficiency, science knowledge. Because especially in Hong Kong, we have band 1 school, band 2 school, band 3 school, and people use their they apply for different level of schools, and then there's the top school and middle school, and then some school is not so good school. Okay, so the student came from the same school usually are more similar than students from different schools in terms of mathematical ability, in terms of language ability, scientific science knowledge, etc. So if that is the case, then we have to deal with this situation of multi-level data structure. So there's a freeware, MLIRT, multi-level IRT in R. So once you have this kind of structure, then you better take this seriously. Another example is like we have in public health, we sample a few hospitals, and then within hospital we sample a few patients. And then patients within the same hospital are more similar than patients from different hospital because of the clustering effect, the hospital culture, their doctors, their nurses, etc. Number 6, growth is we are trying to measure growth, right? Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 students. So in the literature of the Rasch model, I found 2 articles that they are interested in individual difference in change. One is Anderson in 1985, the other is Anderson in 1991. They just pull the data across year into one big data set and then analyze the big data set jointly. But they didn't address the structure of the data. So my colleague Huang and I, we invent another approach that to measure growth. We call it a multi-level approach. In this model, we have 3 labels of data. We have within occasions, with time 1, time 2, time 3, this is the level 1 data. And level 2 data is the between occasion, between time points. And then the level 3 data is between person data. So we have also we can call it multi-level data approach. And then number 7, latent classes. Sometimes we have unknown populations in our data set. Take this figure as example. All we can see is the male, female, gender, right? We can tell which person is male or female. But sometimes it's not the male or female that determine their item responses. Sometimes it's because of their speediness. Some male run faster than female, right? And then, of course, some females run faster than males. It's possible. That means that we didn't observe their speediness in this example, but all we observe is their gender. So it's possible that different persons from different subpopulations has different responses to our test. So we need to consider that the subpopulation membership is unknown in this case. We call it, that's why we call it latent class, because the class membership is unknown in this example. For example, Wilson 1989, developmental change in Piaget's framework, we have a different stage. When our children move to a different stage, they use different strategies to solve the item. But this stage is actually unknown to us. Well, the second example is the response style. When we have a self-report inventories, and some people have shown very strong response style. Some are very extremes. Either they strongly disagree everything, or they strongly agree everything. That we call it extreme response style. Some people are kind of middle response style. They tend to have neutral or no opinion on every item, right? So that kind of response style. But you don't observe their response style. All you can do is to try to dig out the response style from your data. So suppose we have 3 latent classes in our population. One is those person with the extreme response style, and then one is those person with the middle response style, and the other class is the normal class. So we need to identify which person belong to which latent class, in addition to the item calibration, in addition to the person calibration. So the third example is performance decline during testing. Some people is getting worse and worse. Some people getting better and better during tasks. In the low stack examinations like PISA test, there's low stack to the students. And then some people has easily lost their interest in testing. So their performance actually declined as the testing proceeds. So we can model that kind of situation. Otherwise, the item located at the end of the testing will become very difficult. That's not because it is difficult. It's only because the people lose their interest in taking the test. So we will estimate the difficulty, especially those located at the end of the test. So, and deep analysis, sometimes in traditional deep analysis, the group membership is known, like a gender or race or locations, whatever. They are known group membership, but sometimes this can occur with unknown group membership, like a response style, like they use different strategies to solve the item. And we have software in R that's mixed Rasch. It's free. And then number 8 is missing data. Oh, well, if the data are missing at random, then everything is perfect. We can easily deal with the data with missing at random using any kinds of computer software like a WinStat or FastStat. But sometimes, unfortunately, the data may not missing at random. They are missing not at random. An example would be, well, in survey, some items are so sensitive. Do you love your country? If you add this kind of question to Chinese people, that is very sensitive, right? Or do you like the society system? Do you agree with capital punishment, etc.? What is your income? Some items can be very sensitive to enough to cause missing data, right? So they are missing not at random. So if this is the case, that computer software that assuming missing at random will not appropriate. So we need to have some new models to consider the data that are missing at random. And a particular example of the missing not at random is examee selected item in Gaokao or even in Hong Kong or a lot of graduate school entrance exam. That sometimes, well, due to some educational purpose, we offer multiple questions, and then we require our examee to pick up a fixed number of items to answer. For example, here are the 5 open-ended items. You have to choose two of these 5 items to answer, no more, no less. You allow the student or examiner to select items to respond. So that is missing not at random, because sometimes more capable students tend to make a better decision in selecting easy items to answer. So this will cause a test of fairness issue. Because the more capable students take advantage of the selection, so if that test is high stakes, like in Gaokao in China, then certainly, well, that's the big issue in test fairness. So we need to consider that kind of choice effect, and then we can model it, and then we partition out this kind of consequence of the choice effect from our person measures, so that the remaining person measure will be fair, just like we did for the rater effect. We included some sort of rater parameters to represent the rater ability, right? So that the person ability will be free from the rater effect to become fair. And another example is the don't know option. Sometimes in our survey questionnaire, we offer a don't know option in our in the rating scale. Strongly agree, strongly disagree, don't know, or whatever, no opinion, and then strongly agree, etc. So how can we model this kind of don't know option or no opinion options? We need a specific model to consider this kind of effect. Number 9, ranking. So far we are talking about dominance item response model. Dominance means the more capable you are, the higher probability of success. So the item response function is monotonically increasing, right? So you can compare the whether person A is more capable than person B or not, right? So that we can make an individual comparison. But sometimes we are not interested in inter-person comparison at all. Just like a career interest, like it or not, we provide you a lot of career options. You have to choose one to pursue eventually, right? So perhaps I like all this kind of career very much, but still I have to choose one or two, right? That I like most. But perhaps you don't like the options at all. You are forced to choose one of them, because you should not be jobless in your life. You are supposed to make a decision which career you want to pursue eventually. Okay, just this is an example, especially in personality or career interest inventory, like which one is more like smart or easygoing. Perhaps I will say, well, both are like me very much. I'm very smart and easygoing. Unfortunately, I have to choose one, right? Okay, I'll choose easygoing. I'm more like a social person. I will put higher value on easygoing, although I still am very smart. Oh, you can say, well, are you lazy or picky? None of them can describe me, but at all, I have to choose one. So I call it a pairwise comparison item. You have two statements. Each item has two statements, you have to make a decision which one is more like you. You cannot say, well, both are like me equally well. No, you have to choose one. Overranking item. Each item can have more than 2 statements. Like, doing the 3 statements according to your work interest. Do you like maintain, install, or repair computers? Or do you like teach people new skills? Or you write books, articles, essays, or play? Which one? You need to make a ranking, right? Perhaps I will choose number 1 first, and then number 3 the second, and then number 2 as the last. So I have to rank these 3 statements. Oh, all right, then what should we do? How should we analyze this kind of data? Then I try to develop a new Rasch model for this ranking or pairwise comparison data. First of all, suppose we have a set of statements. Statement S, T, and U, and they are measuring latent traits A, B, and C, okay, respectively. So certainly we can have more than 3 statements in our statement pool. All right. So the question that I want to ask is, person A prefer statement S to T because, or the question should look like, why does person A prefer statement S to T? Why? Because the overall utility of S is greater than that of T. Okay, that's my, assumption. Then how can we decompose the overall utility? According to my, model, the overall utility has 2 components. One is the person's latent trait on A, and the other is the item utility. Okay. So this is the overall utility of S, and the other it will be the overall utility of T. So once we have model, once we have this is logic, just like a Rasch family, right? We like to have equations that is expressed in terms of logic. So logic of, that means we have the numerator is the probability of selecting S in a pair of statement S and T, right? We have 2 statements S and T, like lazy or picky. Lazy is statement S, and picky is the statement T. So the numerator will be the probability of selecting lazy. And the denominator certainly is 1 minus of that probability. That will be the probability of selecting statement T, that is picky. Okay? So we have odds ratio.